Hey everyone, Savannah Tree Foundation Field Manager Jake Henry here, and today I wanted to talk about trees and water and the size of the tree when you plant it, because that actually makes a really big difference in terms of survival and how you maintain it following planting. So we're going to look at two different trees I have in my backyard today. This one on the right is a tupelo, or Nyssa sylvatica, really fantastic native tree species. And this one over here on the left is a red maple, or Acer rubrum, also native, very common across almost the entire eastern United States. Very, very common tree. So you may notice that this one is essentially a stick with some leaves on it. It's pretty small. And this tupelo over here is not that much bigger, but they have really different requirements for sunlight and moisture. Now, a good rule of thumb is that after planting, you need to give a tree 10 gallons of water for every inch in diameter. So this black gum here is probably about an inch. It's probably getting pretty close. So this one maybe a little bit less. It's, you know, shaded pretty well underneath the canopy of these trees, so maybe not quite 10 gallons. And we have been getting a lot of rain, so that's fantastic. That's helping. But that's quite a bit of water. That's really a lot to get it established, help it get maintained. And as the tree gets older, it'll have a well-developed root system. It'll be able to collect that water on its own. But when a tree is first planted, it has to have that water provided by us. It doesn't have the root system available to be able to get that on its own. So the larger a tree you plant, the more water it's going to need. And that's why it can be so challenging to plant really large trees, particularly in urban areas where it can be difficult to water on a regular basis. Say we plant a 4-inch caliper tree, which is a good sized tree, that's going to need 40 gallons of water. Now that can be difficult to do in some instances, especially to make sure it's maintained. Even if you are doing that, sometimes it still may not make it. If it's really hot, we're having a drought, it's just having a hard time getting established. It's so important to make sure we're giving them enough water. Now over here, we're going to look at this little red maple, and this is pretty small. I would say that's maybe half an inch in diameter. It's a lot smaller. And one of the advantages of planting smaller trees is they adapt to their surrounding soil environment much faster. So it's a lot easier for them to start rooting out, and then subsequently they'll start growing much faster, providing vertical height growth. Depending on where you are, you may be subject to certain rules with planting. A good example is that here in downtown Savannah, many of the trees that are planted have to be 2.5 inches in diameter or larger. And that's great for some aspects, because that makes sure the tree is a little bit bigger, it's tougher, it can handle, you know, urban environments, people bumping into it and running against it. But like I said, it's going to take a lot more energy to get that tree established. If you can plant smaller, these trees will adapt so much faster, and they'll start growing much quicker than a larger tree will. So just wanted to point out the differences with water and tree sizes here when you're planting a new tree. Thank you all so much for watching, and stay tuned for more videos. Take care.